The shadow fell across Manhattan without warning. One moment, the October sky was clear blue. The next, a darkness like premature dusk swept across the city. Traffic halted. Pedestrians froze mid-stride. All eyes turned upward to the impossible object that had materialized above the skyline. A vessel that dwarfed the largest human megastructures, its surface a mosaic of shifting geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to follow. In her office at the United Earth Government headquarters, Special Envoy Eliza Chen felt the floor vibrate beneath her feet as the building's emergency systems activated. Her secure terminal chimed with priority alerts from every defense ministry on the planet. Madam Chen, her AI assistant's voice was unnaturally calm. The Security Council requests your immediate presence in Situation Room Alpha. Eliza grabbed her datapad and was halfway to the door when every screen in her office flickered to life simultaneously. The image that appeared made her stop breathing for a moment. The being on the screen wasn't remotely humanoid. A crystalline entity towered in what appeared to be a cavernous chamber, its translucent body refracting light in hypnotic patterns. When it spoke, the sound resembled breaking glass arranged into words. People of Earth, I am Ambassador Zor Thax of the Galactic Council. Your world is now under our observation. Eliza made it to the Situation Room as the transmission continued across every communication device on the planet. Inside, military officers and government officials stared at the central display with expressions ranging from shock to fury. For centuries, we have monitored your development, the crystal entity continued. Your species has progressed too rapidly, in directions the Council finds concerning. General Okafor, Earth's Joint Defense Commander, noticed Eliza's arrival. We're detecting 12 distinct vessels in high orbit, he whispered. Our most advanced weapons can't even scratch their shielding technology. On screen, Ambassador Zor Thax's body pulsed with cold blue light. The Council has reached a unanimous decision. You will halt all technological advancement beyond your current capabilities. You will remain confined to your solar system. You will submit to regular inspections of your facilities and communications. The room temperature seemed to drop as the alien concluded. You have 30 Earth days to demonstrate compliance. Failure to do so will result in your species' extinction. The transmission ended, leaving government channels open to the chaos erupting worldwide. Eliza scanned the incoming reports. Military bases activating, markets crashing, religious leaders declaring everything from apocalypse to salvation. They can't be serious, someone muttered. An intelligence officer approached with a tablet displaying a classified document. Ma'am, this was just decrypted from their transmission. Our AI flagged it as significant. Eliza scanned the data and felt her blood go cold. The document contained fragments of Council communications, translated imperfectly but clear enough. Human unpredictability exceeds acceptable parameters. Adaptation rate violates evolutionary norms. Potential to surpass founder species within 200 cycles if unchecked. Recommend immediate containment or extinction. The Council wasn't acting from strength, Eliza realized. They were acting from fear. Her secure personal communicator vibrated. A message from an encrypted source she hadn't seen in years. Their right to fear us. Operation Longview activated. 30 days is more than enough time. Stay strong, sister. Eliza deleted the message from her estranged sister Mai instantly, her diplomat's face betraying nothing as she looked up at her colleagues. Arrange a meeting with the ambassador, she said, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. Tell them Earth wishes to discuss terms. 17 days after the ultimatum, New Delhi's streets flowed with protesters. Some carried signs welcoming alien salvation. Others burned effigies of Ambassador Zor Thax. Police drones hovered helplessly as the factions clashed beneath temporary shelters erected against the unseasonal rain. From her secure bunker beneath Geneva, Eliza Chen watched multiple feeds simultaneously, her face illuminated by their grim glow. Global order was unraveling precisely, as the Council had anticipated. The Chinese delegation has arrived, her assistant announced. General Zhao Lin entered, his uniform immaculate despite the 20-hour flight. Without preamble, he laid a datapad on the conference table. "We must negotiate surrender terms," he stated flatly. "My government has run simulations. Even with complete global cooperation, our military capabilities are entirely irrelevant." Eliza finished, sliding the pad back. "This isn't about military capabilities." The Chinese general's expression hardened. "Then enlighten me, Madam Chen." The diplomat pulled up classified footage from the previous day's Security Council. On screen, General Abara of Nigeria was mid-speech, passionately arguing against capitulation, when he suddenly clutched his head and collapsed. Medical personnel rushed in as the feed cut. "He died instantly," Eliza said, freezing the frame and magnifying a section of the general's exposed neck. "Our quantum microscopy caught this." Zhao leaned forward, eyes widening at the swarm of microscopic machines visible burrowing into Abara's brainstem. "Council technology," Eliza continued. "They're eliminating hardliners while making it look natural. 7 similar deaths in the last week." Zhao's hand unconsciously moved to his own neck. "How did they deploy?" "The rain," Eliza said simply. "It's happening in every major city. They're culling our leadership while we debate whether to submit." 1,000 kilometers away, Dr. Marcus Santos stood before 200 students at Europa University, his lecture on quantum entanglement theory being lip-streamed to universities worldwide. At 43, the physicist still maintained the energetic demeanor that made him a scientific celebrity. "Consider," he said, chalk scratching across the old-fashioned blackboard he insisted on using, "particles once connected remain connected regardless of distance." His equations flowed across the board, conventional theory with subtle, deliberate errors that would be meaningless to most viewers, but blindingly obvious to his former students now scattered across research facilities worldwide. In her Antarctic laboratory, Dr. Shreya Patel watched her mentor's lecture with growing excitement. The errors in his equations, when properly rearranged, formed coordinates and activation sequences. "Clever bastard," she whispered, fingers flying across her terminal, entering commands that would activate dormant systems buried in the ice beneath her feet. Aboard the Council observation vessel, Sub-Commander Vextal reported to his crystalline superior. "The humans fragment as predicted. Religious institutions declare divine judgment. Military factions advocate feudal resistance. Corporate entities seek accommodation." Ambassador Zorthax's crystalline form vibrated with satisfaction. "Their division makes them manageable. Any anomalous activities? Minor energy fluctuations near their southern polar region, but consistent with their primitive fusion experiments. Nothing concerning." Neither noticed that this conversation, like all their communications, propagated across frequencies they believed secure. Frequencies that human quantum computers had been decoding since the Council's arrival. In her private quarters, Mei Chen replayed the intercepted Council transmission, her lips curving into a smile that never reached her eyes. She initiated a secure connection to a hidden facility beneath the Marianas Trench. "Defense Protocol Prometheus." She spoke into the quantum-encrypted channel. "Authorization. Valkyrie 7. Begin Phase 2. Beneath the deepest ocean, ancient machines built for a war humanity had been secretly preparing for across generations home to life. Approaching lunar dark side, the pilot announced as their unmarked shuttle curved around the moon's cratered surface. General Akaki, once dismissed as paranoid for his warnings about extraterrestrial threats, gazed out the viewport with grim vindication. After 15 years of exile from military leadership, the Council's arrival had transformed him from pariah to humanity's last hope. "Status of Council observation satellites?" he asked. "Successfully spoofed, sir. They believe we're a routine mining operation." The shuttle descended toward what appeared to be an abandoned lunar mining outpost. As they approached, massive doors silently parted in the regolith, revealing a cavernous hangar beneath. The facility stretched for kilometers under the lunar surface, alive with activity that would shock anyone who believed humanity was preparing to surrender. "Welcome to Artemis Base, General," said Commander Harper as they disembarked. 15 years of construction, completely shielded from electromagnetic detection. They walked past assembly lines, where autonomous systems constructed compact missile systems, drone swarms, and devices that defied conventional military classification. "The Council believes our weapons technology is centuries behind theirs," Harper explained, leading Akachi into a vast circular chamber dominated by what appeared to be an enormous particle accelerator. "In many ways, they're correct. So we designed weapons that target the physics they rely on instead of trying to overpower them." Akechi nodded appreciatively. "And Mars? Operation Red Soil is ahead of schedule. The failed Terraform project provided perfect cover for establishing our manufacturing base. Council observers see only atmospheric processors. They don't realize those same facilities are producing our quantum disruptors." In Europa University's quantum lab, Dr. Santos activated his final test sequence. The unassuming device on his workbench hadn't been built to Council standards. It was designed to exploit their technological assumptions. Entanglement stable at 99.97%, his assistant reported. Santos allowed himself a small smile. "Initiate test disruption." On a monitor, a miniature Council shield generator, reverse-engineered from recovered fragments, hummed to life, its protective field shimmering. When Santos' device activated, the field didn't collapse dramatically. Instead, it developed microscopic instabilities that rapidly propagated through the entire system. "Perfect," Santos whispered. "Not enough power to destroy their shields, but enough to create vulnerabilities for conventional weapons to exploit." He sent a single encoded quantum pulse. Across the solar system, similar devices received his confirmation. The technology worked. Meanwhile, Mai Chen's stealth shuttle approached a Council scout ship on the outskirts of the asteroid belt. Her 6-person team wore experimental suits designed to mask their biosignatures. "Remember," she briefed them, "this isn't about destruction. We need their navigation data and biometric security protocols." They breached the hull at a maintenance access point, encountering their first alien crew members, insectoid beings twice as tall as humans. Training overcome instinctive fear as Mai fired a neurodisruptor, dropping the aliens without killing them. 14 minutes until their central system registers the intrusion, her tech specialist warned. Mai worked methodically, planting quantum receivers throughout the vessel while her team downloaded crucial intelligence. In the ship's data core, she discovered files marked with highest-level Council encryption. Breaking protocol, she initiated a direct neural download, grimacing as the alien data patterns burned into her memory. What she saw made her blood freeze. Holographic records of 17 civilizations, each detected, assessed, and methodically contained by the Council. Some restricted to their planets until they withered. Others harvested for resources, none permitted to challenge Council dominance. Alarms blared as they retreated to their shuttle, Council security drones converging. May's team provided covering fire as she transmitted a single quantum-encrypted message to her sister. "Belisa, they've done this before. We're not their first target, just their latest. Activate Prometheus now. We're out of time." The Council's doomsday clock showed 13 days remaining. Humanity's counter was already at 0. The Council attacked at dawn. Kinetic rods streaked through Earth's atmosphere like artificial meteors, targeting military installations with surgical precision. The Pentagon vanished in a pillar of superheated air. China's strategic command became a molten crater. Russia's defense ministry dissolved into atomized particles. On public channels worldwide, Ambassador Zorthax broadcast his message. Resistance was anticipated and punished. Your deception has been noted. The ultimatum timeline is hereby terminated. Aboard the Council command vessel, Sub-Commander Vextal monitored the attack telemetry. First phase targets neutralized. No significant defensive measures detected. Ambassador Zorthax's crystalline form pulsed with cold satisfaction. As expected. Prepare secondary. A junior sensor officer interrupted, voice pitched higher. Energy anomaly detected, lunar dark side. On their tactical display, the moon's surface erupted. Concealed silos opened along the crater rings, revealing hundreds of launch platforms that had been invisible to Council scans. Before Vextal could process this impossibility, the lunar batteries fired. Not crude missiles, but sleek projectiles that accelerated to relativistic speeds, surrounded by quantum fields that bent detection around them. Council vessels detected the threat only milliseconds before impact. Shields, Zorthax commanded, but something was wrong. Their normally impenetrable defensive fields flickered with fractal instabilities. In his Europa lab, Dr. Santos monitored the quantum disruption network as it executed its precisely timed attack. Not powerful enough to collapse Council shields entirely, but sufficient to create microsecond vulnerabilities, exactly when human weapons made contact. The first Council cruiser shuddered as multiple impacts penetrated its compromised shields. Not destroyed, but crippled, listing in orbit. Impossible, Vextal whispered. On Earth, the supposedly destroyed military installations shimmered and vanished. Sophisticated holograms concealing the fact that humanity's true defense infrastructure had been relocated years ago. General Akachi's voice broadcast across all frequencies from his lunar command center. Attention Council forces. Your initial strike has failed. You targeted decoys. Your actual strategic position is as follows. The transmission included precise coordinates of every Council vessel, their shield vulnerabilities, and their command structure. Intelligence gathered meticulously during the Council's overconfident surveillance of Earth. This is your opportunity to withdraw, Akachi continued. There will not be another. Zorthax's crystalline form vibrated with rage. Launch all fighters. Full planetary bombardment. No more precision strikes. The Council armada surged forward, directly into humanity's trap. The oceans heaved as massive submarine platforms surfaced, launching not nuclear missiles but clouds of autonomous drones. Millions of them, each barely larger than an insect, swarmed toward the Council fleet. Individually insignificant, collectively overwhelming. On Mars, the massive atmospheric processors rotated to reveal their true purpose. Quantum disruptor arrays that bathed the Council fleet in targeted interference, scrambling their navigation, targeting, and communication systems. Council fighters, suddenly unable to distinguish friend from foe, fired on their own vessels. Drones infiltrated hull breaches, targeting propulsion and life support rather than attempting to destroy the vastly superior ships outright. Status report. Zorthax demanded, but communications had dissolved into chaos. In Geneva, Eliza Chen received May's intelligence data and made her decision. She opened a direct channel to the Council's high command, bypassing Zorthax. This is Earth Diplomatic Corps, she stated calmly. We've demonstrated our defensive capabilities. Now let me show you what we've discovered about your past operations. She transmitted the files May had stolen, records of the Council's systematic suppression of 17 other species. I formally request an emergency session of the full Council, she continued. Under Article 7 of your own founding charter. Review of species extinction protocols where evidence of governance violation exists. As Earth's hidden defenses continued to systematically disable rather than destroy the Council fleet, Zorthax received new orders from his superiors. Stand down immediately. The first battle was over. The real war, fought with information rather than weapons, was just beginning. The Council chamber resembled a massive amphitheater carved from a single crystal, its faceted surfaces reflecting and refracting light in patterns that disoriented the human eye. 12 massive thrones arranged in hierarchical tiers hosted beings so diverse in biology that some appeared more like abstract art than living entities. Eliza Chen stood alone on the central platform, the first human ever to address the full Galactic Council. She wore a simple blue diplomatic uniform, unadorned except for a small earth insignia, a deliberate contrast to the ornate regalia of the council representatives. The human appears unintimidated, observed Thracian delegate Orcs, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with curiosity. A behavioral anomaly we should have anticipated, replied Elder Kavax of the methane-breathing Caldari, their environmental suit humming softly. This species consistently defies predicted response patterns. At the highest tier sat the three founding species, the crystalline Vexari represented by Zorthax, the gelatinous collective mind of the Exorgavics, and the shadow-wreathed Vrexel, whose true forms remained hidden even from most council members. The Vrexel speaker's voice penetrated directly into the minds of all present. This irregular session will commence. The human representative may present their petition. Eliza activated her presentation with a simple gesture. The chamber darkened as a three-dimensional rendering of Earth appeared, timeline markers extending backward through human history. Honorable Council, she began, her voice steady despite the alien pressure bearing down on her consciousness. I present evidence that the containment protocol imposed on humanity violates the Council's founding charter and constitutes an illegal action under your own laws. The hologram zoomed in on ancient human civilizations, Sumerian, Egyptian, Indus Valley, highlighting anomalous artifacts recovered from each. Carbon-dated materials containing isotopic signatures not naturally occurring on Earth. Council mining operations on Earth date back 40,000 years. Eliza continued, displaying metallurgical analysis of the artifacts. During periods of accelerated human development, your extraction teams deliberately introduced technological and biological contaminants to disrupt our progress. Murmurs rippled through the lesser council species. The Thracian delegate's tendrils flashed rapid patterns of alarm. These allegations are baseless, Zorthax countered, his crystalline form vibrating with controlled rage. Primitive interpretations of natural phenomena by an underdeveloped species. Eliza smiled thinly. Then explain this. The hologram shifted to display council security footage, obtained during May's infiltration, showing identical intervention protocols implemented on 17 other worlds. Species evaluated, contained, and eventually either subjugated or eliminated when they approached technological thresholds that might challenge council dominance. The founding charter explicitly prohibits technological suppression for resource advantage, Eliza quoted. Yet the primary species targeted for containment all inhabited worlds rich in quantum-resonant minerals essential for council FTL technology. The lesser council members' reaction was immediate and volatile. The avian Palaxians unfurled their iridescent wings in agitation. The collective hive mind of the Ixari emitted ultrasonic pulses of distress. Order, the Vrexel speaker commanded, but the chamber had erupted into factional chaos. Meanwhile, aboard the crippled council command vessel, Mei Chen led her desperate final mission. The intelligence she'd stolen had revealed the council's most closely guarded secret. Their entire communication and navigation network relied on a centralized quantum architecture vulnerable to targeted disruption. 2 minutes until security protocols reset, warned her last surviving team member as they navigated the alien ship's Byzantine interior. Mai moved with practiced precision, placing quantum disruptors at key junctions, not designed to destroy, but to introduce subtle errors into the system, making council targeting systems marginally less accurate, their communications fractionally less reliable. Death by 1,000 cuts rather than a killing blow. An alarm blared as alien security drones converged on their position. May's companion fell defending their retreat, but she completed the mission, uploading the final virus into the council's network before escaping in a commandeered shuttle. In the council chamber, the diplomatic confrontation reached its climax as the Thracian delegate formally announced their withdrawal from the extinction protocol. 3 other moderate species immediately followed. The council had officially fractured. The Vrexel speaker's mental voice resonated with ancient malice. This changes nothing. The containment will proceed. But Eliza Chen's smile never wavered. She had accomplished exactly what humanity needed: time and division among their adversaries. "Then you leave us no choice but to activate the Perseus Protocol," she replied calmly. Across the solar system, humanity's true defensive strategy began to unfold. General Akachi stood in the Lunar Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays tracking every vessel in the solar system. The Council fleet remained in disarray, their formations broken, communications compromised. But their technological superiority remained overwhelming despite humanity's initial success. "It's time," he announced to his assembled commanders. "Initiate Perseus." Throughout the asteroid belt, seemingly dormant human mining vessels suddenly activated. For decades, these unremarkable ships had been cataloged by Council observers as primitive resource extractors, their true purpose hidden beneath layers of electromagnetic shielding and false signatures. Now they shed their disguises, revealing sophisticated drone carriers packed with specialized autonomous systems. But they didn't move toward the Council combat vessels as expected. Instead, they accelerated toward empty points in space distributed throughout the solar system. Aboard the Council flagship, now partially repaired, Supreme Commander Xor Gavix observed this puzzling maneuver. "The humans deploy mining vessels against us," the gelatinous entity gurgled to its subordinates. "Desperation tactics. Unknown targets," reported a tactical officer. "They appear to be converging on nothing." The truth dawned on the commander too late. The gateways. Protect the quantum transit network. Throughout the solar system, invisible to human detection systems, but vital to Council operations, a network of artificial wormholes allowed near-instantaneous travel and reinforcement. These quantum gateways were how the Council maintained its vast interstellar empire despite the limitations of physics. The mining ships reached their destinations and unleashed their specialized payloads. Drones designed by Dr. Santos specifically to detect and disrupt the quantum signatures of these hidden gateways. One by one, the transit points wavered and collapsed, stranding the invasion fleet in the Sol system with no possibility of reinforcement or retreat. In the Europa laboratory, Dr. Santos monitored the quantum fluctuations with grim satisfaction. It worked, he transmitted to General Akachi. "Their gateways are destabilized." The general allowed himself a brief smile before addressing his global command. Phase 2. Activate the outposts. Light years away, in nearby star systems considered unreachable by human technology, dormant facilities suddenly powered up. Decades earlier, while the Council believed humans confined to their solar system, generation ships had departed Earth at sublight speeds carrying construction crews and equipment. Their mission: establish forward bases for the conflict humanity had been anticipating since detecting the first alien signals. These outposts now activated jammers that further disrupted the Council's communication network, isolating their fleet not just physically but informationally from their empire. On the Council flagship, Supreme Commander Xor Gavix's gelatinous form pulsated with alarm as communications failed completely. The tactical display showed the impossible. Human activity in nearby star systems fought safely out of their reach. "How?" the commander demanded. "Their technology cannot support faster-than-light travel." An analysis officer's voice trembled. "They never used FTL. Commander, these outposts were established decades ago using conventional propulsion. They've been patient." The strategic implications struck the commander like a physical blow. While Council species had grown dependent on gateway technology, humans had been slowly, methodically expanding through conventional space, establishing a network that now surrounded the invasion force. The humans didn't just prepare for this conflict, Xor Gavix realized. They'd been fighting it for generations. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Zor Thax received the devastating news as Eliza Chen continued her diplomatic offensive. "The Perseus Protocol isn't a weapon," she explained calmly. "It's a strategy named after an ancient human myth, a hero who defeated a monster not through superior strength, but by using its own reflection against it. She activated a holographic display showing the collapsed gateway network and the human outposts now revealing themselves in neighboring systems. You relied on technological shortcuts. We relied on human persistence. Her voice carried throughout the chamber. Your fleet is stranded, your communications severed, but we're not seeking your destruction. Only recognition of our sovereign right to develop without interference. The Thracian delegate's bioluminescence pulsed with what might have been admiration. Remarkable. They'd prepared for this conflict before they knew it existed. 4 more council species formally withdrew from the containment protocol, leaving only the 3 founding species still committed to humanity's subjugation. The Vrexil speaker's mental voice resonated with ancient hatred. You have merely postponed extinction. Activate the Terminus device. The true confrontation was about to begin. The Terminus device emerged from a hidden hangar in the Council flagship's underbelly, a massive spherical construct of impossible geometries and writhing energy. As it moved into position near Jupiter, even space itself seemed to distort around its hull. What exactly are we facing? General Akachi asked, studying the strange readings from the lunar observatory. Dr. Santos's face on the communication screen was grave. Based on the quantum signatures, it's designed to fold a localized section of space-time back on itself. It won't just destroy Earth. It will remove our entire planet from existence retroactively. In the council chamber, the final confrontation reached its climax. The Vrexil speaker's mental presence overwhelmed the gathering, forcing even other council members to their knees. The human infection spreads, the ancient entity declared. Your species possesses dangerous evolutionary traits that cannot be permitted to enter the galactic community. Eliza Chen alone remained standing, protected by a quantum interference device of Santos's design, hidden in her diplomatic insignia. And what traits would those be? She challenged. Unpredictability. Adaptability. The Vrexil's mental voice became a hiss, and most dangerous of all, cooperation without coercion or genetic mandate. For the first time, the true motivation behind the Council's ultimatum became clear. It wasn't humanity's potential for violence that threatened them, but their potential for unity despite their differences. Meanwhile, Mei Chen led a composite strike force toward the Terminus device, her remaining human operatives now joined by warriors from the 4 moderate council species who had broken away. Their vessels, a hodgepodge of human and alien technology, approached Jupiter under experimental stealth fields. We'll have one shot, Mei briefed her unlikely allies. The device's outer hull is impenetrable once fully powered, but the gravitational flux during activation creates momentary structural vulnerabilities. The Thracian commander's bioluminescent tentacles pulsed with determination. My species has lived under Vrexil dominance for 12,000 years. We will not fail. As their boarding operation commenced, Eliza made her final diplomatic gambit. She transmitted data packets to every council species simultaneously, bypassing the hierarchical communication protocols. The Terminus device doesn't just threaten Earth, she announced. Dr. Santos' analysis confirms the space-time cascade will affect neighboring systems, including the homeworlds of 7 council species. Holographic simulations displayed the devastating ripple effect. Planets, including those of neutral council members, caught in the reality warping field. The chamber erupted into chaos as species realized the Vrexil were willing to sacrifice them to eliminate humanity. The Vrexil speaker's mental presence contracted with fury. Lies. The device is precisely calibrated. For a single planet, perhaps, Eliza countered. But you failed to account for the quantum entanglement network we've established throughout the solar system. The cascading resonance will amplify the effect exponentially. Aboard the Terminus device, Mei's strike force fought through automated defenses. The interior was a nightmare of non-Euclidean architecture, corridors that looped back on themselves, chambers where gravity shifted unpredictably. We're approaching the central core, Mei reported as her team suffered mounting casualties. But the targeting system is already locked on Earth's coordinates. Dr. Santos's voice came through her quantum communicator. We don't need to destroy it, just redirect it. The targeting array uses quantum positioning. If you can introduce a phase-shifted signal into the primary resonator, Mai understood immediately. Like creating destructive interference in a wave pattern. She reached the targeting array as the device began its power-up sequence, Jupiter's massive gravity well feeding energy into its systems. With seconds remaining, she uploaded Santo's algorithm, not to disable the device, but to shift its focus point. Target locked. The device's artificial intelligence announced. Commencing space-time excision of coordinates adjusted. New target, Saturn upper atmosphere. The Terminus device fired. For a moment, reality itself seemed to fold. A blinding light erupted from Saturn, brighter than the sun. A quantum detonation that transformed the gas giant's atmosphere into a fusion reaction. In the council chamber, representatives watched in stunned silence as a second sun blazed to life in the solar system. It will burn for decades, Eliza said quietly. A monument to what happens when you underestimate humanity. The Vrexel speaker's mental presence had vanished entirely. The ancient species representatives sat motionless, their shadowy forms seeming diminished. The Galactic Council, as it had existed for millennia, was no more. The Europa Accord signing ceremony took place 6 months after what historians now call the Terminus event. Humanity's massive new diplomatic station orbited Jupiter's ice-covered moon, its transparent observation dome offering a spectacular view of both Earth's distant blue crescent and Saturn's perpetual glow. Representatives from 27 spacefaring species gathered in the central chamber, the first truly equal interstellar assembly in galactic history. The station itself embodied human ingenuity, constructed in record time using a blend of human creativity and adapted council technology. Never thought I'd live to see this, General Akachi remarked, resplendent in his ceremonial uniform as he stood beside Eliza Chen. From facing extinction to hosting the galaxy. Eliza nodded, watching the diverse gathering with quiet pride. They came because we didn't just win. We offered a better alternative. The three-dimensional holographic treaty floating above the central dais represented months of negotiation. Unlike the hierarchical structure of the former council, the new stellar cooperative established technological exchange protocols, protection for developing civilizations, and mutual defense agreements. Dr. Santos approached, accompanied by a Thracian scientist, their tentacles rippling with excited bioluminescence. The quantum communication network is fully operational, Santos reported. All member worlds can now communicate instantly, regardless of distance. The Thracian added, a remarkable achievement. Your approach to quantum entanglement was unorthodox, but elegant. Human science often is, Santos replied with a smile. We make intuitive leaps where others follow established patterns. Near the chamber's entrance, Mei Chen entered with her unlikely honor guard, warriors from species that had once been enemies. Her strike team's survivors had become legends throughout the cooperative, symbols of what diverse species could accomplish together. A hush fell as the ceremony began. The new cooperative charter was ratified by each representative in turn, their diverse appendages applying signatures, genetic markers, or quantum signatures according to their traditions. Most surprising to the assembly was the presence of Ambassador Zorthax, the crystalline entity, once humanity's would-be executioner, now served a unique purpose. His transparent form had been modified to permanently house and display records of the former council's suppression of other species, a living monument, and warning against repeating history's mistakes. I serve as witness, Zorthax stated as he added his signature to the charter. That power without wisdom leads to destruction. After the ceremony, Eliza found Mai at the observation dome, staring at the transformed Saturn. Did we do the right thing? Mai asked softly. We've changed the course of thousands of civilizations. For the better, Eliza replied, placing a hand on her sister's shoulder. The old council feared us because we represented something they couldn't control, growth through cooperation rather than dominance. And now we lead a galactic cooperative. Mai shook her head. That wasn't even our goal when this started. Wasn't it? Eliza smiled. Humanity's greatest strength has always been finding common ground with those different from ourselves. General Akechi joined them, nodding toward the distant stars. The cooperative's long-range sensors detected something interesting yesterday. Quantum signatures matching our outposts, but from sectors we haven't officially explored. May raised an eyebrow. The sleeper ships. Akechi nodded. Launched during the first alien signal detections, before we even knew about the Council. Thousands of them, heading for stars beyond the former Council boundaries. Carrying what? Eliza asked. Not weapons, Akechi replied. Cultural databases, scientific knowledge, invitation protocols. The ships were designed to establish first contact with undiscovered civilizations, to offer friendship before anyone else could offer dominance. The three humans stood in silence, watching as Saturn's glow illuminated the gathered fleet of diverse vessels, now united under the cooperative banner. In trying to contain us, they forced us to reach further than we ever would have on our own, May observed. That's always been humanity's response to walls, Eliza said. We don't just break through them. We see what lies beyond and invite everyone to join us there. As the light of two suns played across the assembled ships, a new chapter in galactic history had already begun, one written not in ultimatums and extinction protocols, but in cooperation and possibility.